now you could give us the front trenches of this Destiny to Bungie experience bullshit. Because reading it, what it sounds like to me is the story is that for some reason when you hit level 20, your XP scales down so that you make like less and less of it depending on how fast you kill things.
No. So, kind of. So the way that it works is Destiny has a level cap of 20, but after 20 you continue to gain experience. When you hit level 21, or what would be level 21, you, instead of gaining a level, you gain a Bright Engram, which is the game's loot box, right? And every week, the first 3 levels, I believe, are faster than others, right? So it's Overwatch-ish or anything else. You get a level, you get a loot box, right? So last week, it got discovered by a very attentive player who said, I'm going to grind out a bunch of public events. And
his methods were incredible.
And record some data. And he discovered that the game has a fairly, I was going to say aggressive, but I'm actually going to extreme thing that a lot of MMOs have, which is a rest system, which the longer you play, the less experience you earn. But this shit is off the charts. It's like, after a certain amount of time, like if XP becomes worth like 4% of its original value, it's crazy. And the layman would look at that and go, oh, you make less XP the more you grind, therefore you buy a loot box.
Yeah.
Right? Now, people were very cynical about this and said, Bungie's going to come out and say, oh, it's not working as intended. Blah, blah. And sure enough, Bungie came out and said, the system is not working as intended. We intended it to scale up when you did things that took a long time, like the raid or a strike.
If you killed enemies one at a time, you lost no XP. I noticed they said if you wait for the cash out to appear after each kill, you could get 100% of what
But if you do fast grinding stuff, no. And like that already exists in the game very clearly, in that there's a type of token you can get from a chest that you cash in at vendors for rolls on their gear. If you grab too many chests in too short of a time without leaving the area,
chest cooldown.
The chest just gives you nothing.
You get empty chests because you grab too many.
Yeah. So that's in the game, but that's like not, you can't buy that stuff. It's literally just to stop you from grinding.
Now,
so then they
to my understanding, though, this is even worse because despite the fact that that's happening in your bar, which you can only measure by pixels.
Yes.
Right.
Because there's no number.
Shortens to that degree. The number of experience displayed is the fake number.
Yeah,
says you're getting.
It was the idealized number, not the real one. So quite bad. So Bungie says, "Oh, it's not working as intended." Yada yada yada. We're gonna turn that thing off. And then, to their credit, like less than a day later, they turned it off. New studies by people have discovered that when they turned it off, they basically globally cut experience for every single thing in the game by like 50%. Well, because now it's not scaling for player activity, so there's no way we're going to let people earn like more XP than before
because they level up too fast.
Because they level up too fast and get too many loot boxes for free. It is
punishing you for playing the game.
It is Destiny's biggest problem, and it's been classified by a lot of people as an incentives problem.
Yeah,
because all the fancy stuff, all the fancy shaders, all the fancy mounts, all the fancy ships, they're all in the microtransaction store. You can't get any of them via normal means.
The reporting on this hasn't framed it as something related to loot boxes, or at least part of that economy.
That's absurd. It is absolutely loot box based.
That is just another upsetting thing that Scott called out.
Yep. And it's pretty clear to me, anyway, I might be wrong, but the reason why this changed so fast, and it'll probably change more because there's an expansion coming out, and they have their their live designer talking about how there are going to be large mechanical changes to stuff like this in the near future, hopefully as well to the faction guys, the rep people. Because in Destiny 1, when you gave in rep to a vendor, you would eventually earn the ability to just buy whatever they sold.
Okay.
Right? So, but now in Destiny 2, you give in the rep tokens, and you just get a roll on their gear. And it's like, all I need is the helmet from Iron Banner. I don't need another fucking pair of boots. Just let me fucking buy the helmet, you know? Mm-hmm. So stuff like that is going to change. This is so obviously the fucking loot box shit. And it's disappointing. And I think the only reason that this changed so quickly is because, A, they were ready to do it when they eventually got caught, which they knew they were going to.
They're going to wait to see if we get caught.
And, it was very quickly.
And B, they changed it so fast after getting caught because of the shit with Battlefront.
They had it ready to go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because even if it was not ready to go beforehand, when they saw the Battlefront shit, they're like, oh, we gotta be like, woof.
And again, the way the guy measured it was basically by taking screenshots and measuring pixels in terms of EXP bar growth.
Yeah.
And just a lie number being displayed, which is...
It's a shame.
Incredible.
It's a real shame because I really enjoy the game quite a bit, but it's a total...
Can't get away from it.
It's a total black eye, and it's like... This is considerably less evil than Battlefront because Battlefront's whole fucking game
is based around it.
It's fucked, but like Destiny, it's a loot game, and a bunch of the loot incentives are lost due to the system.
But you know, at the end of the day, Bungie's a small company. They don't have time. They don't have time to fix it, man.
You know,
they don't have time to work on these problems.
They're an inexperienced team. They've only been around for 20 years.
No. The quote is, Bungie's a small indie company that doesn't have time to work on these types of problems.
Where's that quote come from?
That's like the Destiny forums when Destiny 1 came out.
Well, Destiny 2's forums are very different now. They are Destiny 1 players that are crazed and upset that Destiny 2 is different in these ways.
Well...
And they're not completely wrong either.
Now that...
What's this guy's fucking name?
His name is Hero.
Was it?
Energizer X.
Good for him.
And they came out and had their little prepared message.
That they had copied on the clipboard.
Yeah.
They pressed Control V.
So Sterling pointed out when he was looking at this, I think it was Sterling, but probably... Where it's like, it's becoming more and more and more obvious how ready these statements were and how ready to hit a button and make it go away it is.
A lot of people have a lot of prepared statements these days.
I prepared a statement for that. You know?
Like, it's ridiculous. And the whole, like, why are you outraged? We fixed the problem.
The thing that was not working as intended.
Mm-hmm.
And the portrayal, the thing that actually grosses me out, like that, you know, I kind of get it. Is like MMOs do this exact system, but they're honest about it, so no one cares.
Yeah.
And you could buy levels in MMOs now. It's very common, right? But they hit it, and then they try and portray it as like, oh, the system we were working on wasn't working out. And we just happen to be fed up with it at the exact same time that everyone else was fed up about it, which was the same time that the system got found. Like, it's so patronizing. It's so condescending.
I also think that MMOs are in a different place because the people playing them know that they're paying for an ongoing service as opposed to the $60 argument.
Mm-hmm. Well, you still have to pay $60 to buy an MMO.
No, yes. But the idea that you're buying into the subscription at the end is... innately different from your expectation of the complete package.
The explanation of Destiny's microtransactions has been explained away as that's what pays for the live update team instead of a subscription. But their live updates are not great. So their expansions are decent, but their live updates are minor. So,
I think it's kind of funny. Like back in 2008, Tales of Vesperia came out, and it was like one of, if not, I don't know, the first game that's like, maybe you buy some levels.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Ooh, gross." And now every major
I'll tell you,
AAA game that's come out in the last couple months has some type of buy your levels.
I'll tell you.
And
Assassin's Creed,
the fun part is that
you can buy levels.
Like these are all games that have been worked on for years, so like they're all coming down the pipeline, gold mastered, with these things ready to go. And like up ahead, there's a huge fire on the highway,
and everyone's just kind of like,
and they're like, hit the brakes,
so
and they're like, but
think of games that started development exactly 1.5 years ago. Games that are going to be done by the end of this year that had planned for shit like Battlefront and are now going, oh my God!
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Violently hitting the brakes, pulling the handbrake if
we're delaying
can.
it by a year to completely rejigger everything in the fucking game's economy, you know?
But like pulling off on the side of the highway, trying to change the car into a different type of vehicle,
into a boat,
so that to get off this highway.
Pull off the bumper. Can we change the frame? No shit. Matt, I do have one thing to add. The buying levels thing is Vesperia. I think MMOs did it before then, buy all the way to cap. Because
that's the only time I remember the first hubbub I ever heard about it.
First time I ever saw it was in. I think I talked about it last time, but the Eternal Sonata. Yeah. Where you on 360, where you'd buy gold and buy levels.
Okay. Yeah. But that was much after Vesperia. But I will tell you one thing about the culture of an MMO. People look down on those people.
People look down on the people
who buy their way to cap.
So that's the interesting thing is in that there's an article I read about the idea of loot boxes and as gambling and such like that and whatnot, and the whole thing with MMOs where it's like people see that and there's a part of the culture where people make fun of you for not displaying patience.
So it's
and
not,
that doesn't happen in every type of game.
So there's two reasons for that, right? One is the patience, and it's like you paid extra money to play less, right? And it's just like a value proposition kind of thing. And for the purposes of those things in MMOs, I've been calling them jump potions because the 14 development guys call them that. But whatever, it's because you jump to cap with this item, right? The worry is not so much that, oh, look, Jimmy ruined it for himself. The worry is when you load into a dungeon and you look at your tank's gear and you look at him and you know that's the set. That's the stats that come with the fucking level up to cap button. This is going to be miserable because they don't know how to play the game. And you're reliant on them to play it to a certain degree to not make your trip through a dungeon 2 hours, right? That's why people look down on those people.
Well, in a cooperative environment, I can see.
Because you're going into a situation where you have to depend on everybody, and you can tell.
That sounds like a part of it, but there's definitely a part where they're just like...
Yeah, I'd say it's about half-half.
Yeah.
So in 14, in particular, if you've been playing less than a certain amount of time, there's a green sprout next to your name. And if you see a green sprout in certain areas, you just know. Yeah. You just know that person just bought their way up there.
I saw a screenshot of it because I haven't played enough of it to get to the vendor that sells it. Well, since Assassin's Creed Origins takes place 100 years before Jesus was even a breath on the wind, do you know what the level up item that you buy is called in that?
What?
It's the Tablet of Knowledge.
Interesting.
He just gives it to you.
Interesting.
And I assume Bayek just gets the little yellow power bar that power circle that kind of erupts around him or whatever. Mm-hmm. Have you ever seen that in any of it? Did you ever get to the vendor that sells the Tablet of Knowledge?
The little kid?
I saw a screenshot of an older guy.
Oh, I don't think I've met that guy.
Okay.
It's weird.
It's I think it's in one random store in the game.
I've dug real deep in that game, and I never saw that guy.
Well, in any case, this is something that popped up, and within hours almost, an answer was prepared and dropped from Bungie. So players are not going to stand for it, and that's interesting to see.